Good morning, gorgeous. How are you doing today? I hope your day is going great so far. Welcome to my channel. I'm Dr. Michelle Daff, and I'm so happy that you're here with me today. We're talking about something really exciting, and I've talked about this on my podcast, The Dr. Daff Show, where I answered a question that was requested of me about going from being a career woman to being a homemaker. For those of you who don't know, I worked as a psychologist for about 10 to 13 years, and then I transitioned to being in the home. And I love it. I absolutely love it, but I never really saw it as an option for myself. I had to sort of tackle and deal with different perceptions that people had and different things about my own identity that I had to come to terms with or make peace with. And the journey has just been so beautiful. So if you want to get more information about my personal experience in terms of transitioning from being a career woman to being in the home, then you can listen to that podcast. But today I want to talk to you about what are the benefits of being a housewife? What are the benefits of being a homemaker? Why is it something that a person should consider? In the podcast, I discuss that oftentimes in certain communities, especially in the African American community, there aren't so many options for different things. Like some things are just seen as being for these kind of people and those kind of people. And I really want to make it clear that these things are for everyone. Don't block yourself out from something that can bless your life just because people have certain negative comments or don't see that potential for themselves or are just jealous. Don't allow that to stop you from living the life that God created you to live. I want to talk today about the benefits of being a homemaker. Why is it something that maybe you can consider? Why is it something that brings women so much joy? What is it? Like, what is it exactly? How can you transition into this? How can you talk to your husband about this? Maybe your husband would actually love this for you and he doesn't even realize it. This is a really important video and I really hope that it blesses you. So I want you to go ahead and get something to drink. It's summertime and it's hot, so I want something cool. I'm drinking a lovely green juice in a wine cup. Ooh. Okay, go ahead and sit back and relax and let's talk about this. First of all, I just want to say thank you so much for all of the sweet comments that you left in my previous video. I am so touched. You ladies are so kind. I got so many beautiful positive comments about my new haircut, and I'm just so blessed to be able to have a community that is very sweet, supportive, loving, and doesn't just like think lovely things, but takes the time to leave me comments and bless me with your words. It really does mean so much to me. I know I'm on here all the time giving you advice about this and this and that, but you don't understand how much you also impact me and how your love and your warmth and your femininity really does impact my life. I love you all so much, and I just wanted to say thank you. So what is the definition of a homemaker? We have heard lots of different terms that sort of like mimic a homemaker, like a housewife, or if you have children, a stay-at-home mom. But the correct term is homemaker. And what does it actually mean? By definition, a homemaker is a person who spends their time looking after a home and doing housework rather than being employed outside of the home. So is being a homemaker a job? Absolutely. Being a homemaker is a job, and your job is to be a blessing to your home. Your job is to create a beautiful home for your family. Beautiful in many different ways. Beautiful in its appearance, beautiful in the energy that they're going to feel when they step into the home, beautiful in the fact that the home is like organized and people can find things and there's places for everything to go. Beautiful in the sense that schedules are planned. There's not a lot of stress because finances are managed properly. You maybe spend time gardening or folding clothes and stacking them beautifully. I mean, that's the ideal, right? In reality, you being a homemaker is whatever you want it to be, however you design it, but you are working in the home. rather than working out in a job. And it's one of those positions that you decide what it looks like, but it does take a lot of work. And many people have a misconception about what it means to be a homemaker. There are people who have stereotyped it to be like, oh, you just like sit at home and watch TV and throw chips up in the air and catch them. And then there's people who think that you're a pretty little princess walking around with your crown, and you just think that you can have everything handed to you. You don't have to do anything but just spend your husband's money and swipe, swipe, swipe his credit card. And then you have people who think it's like you being on the floor, scrubbing it, wearing your apron and your bandana and just looking depressed and oppressed, and it's just hell for you. We have so many different stereotypes of being a homemaker, and truly, it's whatever you do with it. It's however you decide you want to be with it, and that's between you and your husband. But the core of it is you deciding that you're going to bless your home by bringing your home beauty. It is a huge part of your femininity. And in this world where women are just rushing around, working so hard, coming home depleted and just too tired to make a good meal, too tired to clean up well, too tired to have sex with their husband, too tired to spend time listening to their children and talking to their children and teaching their children. It's like, quick, 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 homework, food, bed, let's go. There's not a lot of slow living. There's not a lot of intention. And because of that, we lose out on a lot of what life offers us, the beauty that life offers us. Your job as a homemaker is to help make your life beautiful and the people who live in that space. I remember when I used to work as a psychologist, it was very important for my office to be beautiful. My office was like no one else's office. When people would come in there, they would just say, wow, it's like they just walked into an oasis. And it was visually beautiful, smelled good all the time. Everything was neat and orderly, and I couldn't get people out of there. People would come in, sit down, and I'm not talking about the people I'm supposed to be helping. I'm talking about the people who work with me. They would come into my office, exhale, and then they would just talk and they wouldn't want to leave. And I would say, this conversation is really good, but listen, I have work to do. You need to go. The point is, I brought peace. I brought beauty. I brought stillness. I brought calmness into my work environment because it's important to me. And it's that same energy you're bringing into your home. Most people do not have offices like that. And most people don't see life like that. Everything is about just like taking care of business. When you're a homemaker, you bring all of those beautiful attributes, everything you've learned in the workforce, everything that, you are, and you take that and bless the people in your home with it versus, being out in the world. When I first started off as a homemaker, it was when I was pregnant. I knew in my spirit, there is no way I'm going to be able to be pregnant, working a stressful job and come home in peace. Like I just knew that this is going to mess up my pregnancy. Like I just couldn't do it. And I also wasn't feeling that well. And so it was a perfect time to start begging God to please get me out of there and help me talk to my husband about this as something that's an option, because this is something I literally never considered. And I wanted to make sure that it wasn't going to be a financial burden or, cause any issues with my marriage. So I had to think about what the benefits were. I had to talk to my husband about why this is something that could be a good idea, especially because this world looks down on people who work in the home, especially people who have big degrees like me. I'm a doctor. So it's you have this big degree and you want to be at home doing what? What are you going to be doing? People always wonder, what are you going to be doing? And when I started being in the home, I realized, oh my goodness, I don't even know what I should be doing. And once I started just sort of organizing the home, decluttering the home, beautifying the home, I started to realize this is actually a lot of work. This is actually more work than my job. But the great thing about it was that I got to be at home. I got to create a schedule. I got to be at peace, not have to rush up in the morning and jump out of bed and get ready and deal with all this craziness. I got to make a beautiful breakfast for my husband, which was really important to me. I got to have an opportunity to serve him in a way where he was getting all of his needs met so that he could be so much more productive at work. And I saw the difference in his mood, my like demeanor towards him. I saw how he got so much more like precise in his job and more just successful. He was able to do more, think clear, just function in a different way because I was serving him as a partner. Being a homemaker allows you to be able to have flexibility. You are not tied to times and locked into moments of freedom. So it seems like there's always a compromise. How can I take care of myself, but also slow down? It's a rat race. My mom just retired from working for I don't even know how many years as a psychologist. And she just told me, like, Michelle, I'm so happy to finally get out of survival mode. My whole life, I've been living in survival mode. And I thought that was really sad. It's really sad that, unfortunately, so many women have to live in survival mode. And so having flexibility to be able to have freedom and the time to do what you want to do, and not just what you want to do, but things that come up, emergencies, people who need help. Someone might need a ride to the hospital, or someone might need something that a person can't just drop what they're doing and go and take care of, but you have that ability. I remember being at work, and when I was doing my assessments, the children's parents had to write their occupation, and so many of these children's parents wrote homemaker. And at first I was like, why are there so many women who are homemakers? Like, what are they doing? But one thing I realized was that whenever that child was sick, whenever that child had a discipline issue, whenever that child needed the parent, they were there in 10 minutes. And that was so nice. Most women don't have that opportunity. If their child is having an issue at school, their child needs something done, they have to drop what they're doing and possibly get reprimanded, lose their job, or just have like a lot of stress. And although their child is sick and the child needs love, they're irritated by the time they see the child because it's like, you're stopping me from making money. You're stopping me from being able to be seen in a good light at my job because I have to keep leaving work for you. So you don't have that issue. You're available for your husband, you're available for your children. In addition to having flexibility, you also have availability. As a homemaker, you're able to be there for your children, be there for your husband. My family is so used to me just being like relaxed that when I'm not, it just like the whole household gets antsy. I have to always like stay in this like mentally relaxed mode when they are around, which means that when they're not around, I'm spending a lot of time taking care of things, planning things. I've had to become so organized in terms of managing the home. It is literally a business. It is a job. It takes management from the food to the upkeep to appointments and family plans and just like juggling all these different things. It's not stressful, but it's still work. But when they're around, I have to get into a mode of availability. And I have that because I don't have to worry about my boss blowing up my phone. And being available is one of the most important parts of your femininity. Being able to be and be relaxed and be open to conversation, be open to dealing with whatever it is that they're dealing with without having a stress of getting things done by a certain time so that I can get my me time. You know, it's interesting because when we talk about God, God is available to us all the time. He's always there. You could be doing anything, and at any moment you reach out to God and say, Lord, let's talk, or Lord, I need this, or Lord, I need help. He's never like, oh, wait, hold on. Let me just answer this text real quick. Hold on. God doesn't do that. God is always available to us. And that same level of availability is important for us to have with our family. So it is a gift to be available to them. It's a gift to be available to yourself. to be able to nurture yourself. When you're at home, you're able to have time and flexibility to do whatever you need to do with your skincare, with your body, with exercising, being more intentional about what you're eating, because you're not like running around all the time and having to get fast food or whatever in the moment. You can actually cook and eat nourishing things for yourself. So you have that availability for yourself and for others to nurture. And you're available to God. God is able to pour into you and to talk to you, because God talks to us in those quiet moments when your mind is available to hear him. If you're always thinking about work and you're working and you're solving problems and you're just on the move constantly, there are very few moments where you will be able to hear God. And in those free spaces, you may fill them up with social media or listening to podcasts or talking on the phone, because you have only limited times to do things like that. So it's probably only going to be like when you're in the shower or when you're laying down in bed right before you go to sleep, that you have like that open space to hear God. So it's really important for yourself and for your relationship with those who are important to you. Another really beautiful benefit of being a homemaker is that you're able to make more delicious meals. I was talking about making nourishing meals for yourself, but you have the opportunity to find recipes that your family will love, to be creative in the kitchen. You actually may start to enjoy cooking and creating. You get to express yourself creatively in so many ways. You get to bless your family with like treats and make things extra special because you have the time. You have the time. And even if you don't think you have the time, you could choose to make the time, because when it comes to being a homemaker, there are no rules. So you don't have to literally do everything by yourself. Like if you need to allocate things, you can. Depending on your family finances, you could hire someone to do the garden instead of gardening yourself. You can hire someone to help you with housekeeping and do all the like heavy scrubbing and things like that. You could hire someone to help you cook or to meal prep. You know, people actually do this. This is not like just reserved from the rich and the famous. Regular, ordinary people do this. People take a look at their lives when they love themselves and they figure out which areas are straining them, which areas are stressing them, which areas can they use some of that money that they're earning in the workforce to help alleviate their lives. You know, I don't want you to ever think, oh my gosh, I work a job, like my life sucks. I didn't realize that. It's not true. Working a job is beautiful. It's important. It's a great thing. But being at home is also beautiful, and it's also a great thing. Balance is really the key. And so some people will opt to work part-time, which is awesome. And depending on how old your children are, you may want to work a little less or a little bit more. But when you're able to stay at home, you have the flexibility to decide how you want to do this, how you want to work, how much you want to work. I say I'm like a 70% of a homemaker because I work. I still create content. I have a podcast. These things take a lot of time for me to plan my content. The information I give you in my videos are like an entire PowerPoint. I have to spend a lot of time thinking and reading and researching and praying just to be able to create content for you. It's a job. Like I literally have a lot of jobs. But, you know, it's also great. It's also a space where I can earn revenue. It's not nearly as much as I would make working as a doctor, but it's something if I want to make and do things for myself. Most women who stay at home do have something that they do on the side, something that they do that just blesses them and creates a little bit of income. It's another way to showcase your creativity and just to bless the world in your purpose. And for me personally, my like creative venture that I want to bring the world outside of this YouTube content is my fragrance line. I have a fragrance line. It's called Fine Forever Fragrances, and I curate with a professional perfumer high-end luxury fragrances. This is one of my bottles. I have 3 fragrances right now. This one's called Silent Storm. It's so beautiful for the summer. I wear it every single day, and people are stopping me a little bit too much at this point. It is so good. And just a side note, I have been getting questions about when I'm creating new fragrances, because I know that those of you who have purchased them are obsessed, because these fragrances are clean, They're not like chemically, they're not fragrances that you would experience in a store, which is why I wanted to bring this as something for women who absolutely love fragrance and don't want to smell like the same stuff that they see in the stores. It was part of my vision to be able to create this kind of fragrance. So it does take quite a while for me to get the fragrance that I'm looking for and to just kind of like, curate something that really expresses whatever it is that I'm wanting you to experience. My fragrances are faith-based because they are tied to scripture. So it's not just a fragrance. Like I have to work with God and, it's a masterpiece of his art mixed with like the blessing of smelling incredible. So anyway, if you want to purchase a fragrance, you can click the link below, fineforever.com. And the meaning behind that is, as long as you have God, you will be fine forever. So most women who are stay-at-home mothers or who are homemakers, they do have something that they do creatively on the side. And my husband helps me tremendously with the fragrance line. It's not just my thing. I mean, really, there's no way I could do it without him. So I thank him for that. But it's one of the avenues of things that I chose to express myself with creatively and to bless the world with. Another benefit to being a homemaker is being able to be there for your husband, like being able to be available, sexually available to him, romantically available to him. There is something so sexy about thinking about your husband who's out in the world, like working so hard and putting everything he has out there to be able to earn to take care of you, take care of your family. It's very attractive. It's very romantic. And when you don't have like both of you doing the same thing, he is able to like build up on his testosterone as a man. Like he's out there in the world getting it. And that energy that, transmits to you when you're grateful for that. And when you see him as like the hero of your life or just giving everything for his family, it gives him that oxytocin, right? That love hormone when he feels your gratitude, when he really is your provider, your hero. He gets to grow in his manhood and he gets a sense of his own worth and satisfaction that he's doing this for you. And this creates a lot of like chemistry and romance between the two of you if you're able to see it that way and be appreciative and show your appreciation. It's balanced out in the most beautiful harmony. And of course, being a homemaker is so wonderful when you have children, being able to be there with them, to really train them, teach them, watch them, not have a sense of hurriedness or rushing about yourself, and allow them to be able to grow, with love, where you are seeing teachable moments and helping to guide them to be these wonderful people that they are. You are able to homeschool them if you want to. You're able to really watch them, look at the changes that they have, look at the friendships that they have, and talk to them about these things without feeling like you don't have time for this. You get to teach your children the things that really matter in life, teaching them about God in a way where, you're able to help them live a little slower, not always having to give them things because you think that's what's going to make them happy, or take them all these places and just like fill their day up with things. You're able to let them see the beauty in things. You're not as negative because you're not irritated all the time with the world. Like you're able to slow them down and help them to appreciate the things that matter in life. Children will pick up on your energy. They pick up on the way that you see the world. And when you're at home with them, all of that really gets honed in, and you can be very intentional about every single thing that they experience. I love flower arranging, so I always have bouquets of flowers that I pick up, and I make my little bouquets every week. And yesterday I had a beautiful rose and I was smelling it, and I gave it to my son. He's only 2, and he smells it. He goes, how beautiful. And I thought it was so beautiful because I have taught him to appreciate every single thing, especially when it comes to nature and beauty. I've allowed him to be able to take a second, because he is very active, but to slow down, take a second and recognize the beauty in something and just take it in for a second. Because he literally threw the flower on the floor and ran away after that. But in that moment, he connected. And when you're able to be at home with your children, you really can take time and show them all the little things about life that make it beautiful. The things that don't cost money, just being positive and being grateful and seeing the beauty that God gave us. When I transitioned from being in the workforce to being a homemaker, I had to deal with the thoughts and opinions of other people. And I think people do struggle with that oftentimes. Like, women don't want to lose their social status. They don't want to lose the perception that people have of them, especially if they've worked really hard, went to law school or did all these things. And it's like all of a sudden they're no one. They're just a stay-at-home mom. Like, you're nothing now. That's really difficult. And I talk about this on my podcast about having to understand your identity is not in what you do. It's in who you are. It's in what you bring to the world. And you can bring the world so much, even so much more, being in the home. You can do the same thing outside of the home, and none of it changes who you are. So having to remove those things from yourself is something that is a good thing. It's a benefit because you get to detach from stereotypes and titles and perceptions of other people. Just like when I cut all my hair off, like, this was a bold move for me. I'm a psychologist, so I understand how people see people and how certain things matter. Everything matters, right? But I know what matters and how people perceive certain things. So me doing something like this was an opportunity for me to grow and being able to accept myself and understand that it is not my job to create perceptions for people to be able to accept or deny. And being in the home, especially when you have naysayers and people of that sort around you, gives you an opportunity to grow in your confidence and grow in your ability to stand for what you desire, stand for what your family needs, be supportive to your husband, and understand the beauty in all of those things without having to explain yourself. And you know what? Men really love it. That's something I didn't realize. Like, when I would be out and maybe like a man would ask me some questions and I say, oh no, I stay at home. They love it. They're always like, wow, that is so amazing. I was really surprised by that. I did not expect men to think that this was something of value, but men seem to be very attracted to a woman who prioritizes her family. And this is something that, of course, I know, like, mentally, but seeing it play out so much in my life, it's just so shocking that many women don't see how that can really change a man's perspective of you. And there are many more benefits. If you want to share in the comments below, please let us know like what you saw as a benefit to staying at home. Of course, with anything, there's always some downsides to it as well, but that's not what this video is about. But let me know in the comments if you got to stay at home. Many women are blessed to have the opportunity to stay at home while their children are young. And then when their children are school age or they're older, they go back into work. So, you know, it is a family sacrifice. It is a conversation for your husband. But let me tell you, your husband will benefit from it so much. He will have a wife who is more peaceful, more loving in her femininity. He will have better meals, a cleaner home, a beautiful space to relax in. And I hope that you can be the one to bring that to him. And if it's something you've never talked to God about, I do think it's good to just ask God, like, what do you think about this for me? Is this something you would ever want me to do? Or what can I do with this information? You might be surprised at what God tells you. I thank you so much for being here and listening to this. I know it was kind of like a rant, but I love being able to come and share with you. And I hope that you just learned something from this or just enjoyed being here. Until next time, if you want to listen to my podcast, you can. I go more in depth with conversations about femininity, about being a wife, about all of this. You can listen at The Dr. Dap Show. And you can also reach out to me on Instagram at Dr. Michelle Dap and at The Dr. Dap Show. And if you have a request, if there's something you want to talk about or you want me to go into more detail about homemaking or just about femininity or being a wife, then let me know in the comments because your requests really are important to me. Until next time, mwah, bye-bye.